Do you ever think about what decades are going to be, what people are going to just kind of colloquially refer to decades in the future? I mean, I guess we've already lived them before, but like the noughties, when that was coming up, I mean, I'd be lying if I said in the late 90s I was stressing about what are we going to call this decade? Because that's the only, it's like you got the 80s, the 90s, and then the what happens here? And then it's the noughties. It's like, well,
You
I
know
guess
what I
it's the
feel?
noughties.
I feel like we've lost a little bit of our sense of excitement about decades. Roaring 20s, the swinging
Yeah.
60s.
Yeah.
We had all of these exciting,
Yeah. Adjectives.
the fiery 40s,
Yeah.
the I can't remember what the 80s was, but there was definitely an 80s thing. I feel like we got to this new millennium and we just gave up trying to label
It was the cocaine 80s. It was the cocaine
yeah,
80s.
the cocaides. But now we're in the 2020s, and we're more than halfway through, and I don't feel like anyone has really started to label, this decade with anything approaching the kind of panache we used to have.
Got some panache right here for you. The
Please.
terrible 20s.
Hey,
Alliteration.
it's feeling
inaccurate.
good. It's feeling good right now.
Because you can people refer to like babies going through like the terrible twos.
Yeah,
I think that's where we're at. I think, and then the threes are what the trepidatious 30s.
Yeah, the fact that we've gone from roaring 20s in the 1920s when everyone was like, wow, what an era, how much fun we're having, to the terrible 20s a mere century later really suggests that we're not on the right path. We used to be swinging in this country. No one's swinging anywhere.
I don't know about swinging, but I mean, look, the roaring
Swangin'?
20s, swanging, correct. What happened right after the terrible the Roaring 20s? It was, the war. So,
Yeah, I mean there was a whole other decade in the middle, but sure.
and nobody knows what happened in that decade.
No one does remember what happens in the 1930s. I'm sure it didn't amount to anything. I'm sure you couldn't point to the 1930s and say, that's how we got to the 1940s. And let's sure hope that it doesn't have any modern day parallels.
That's right. We must have talked about this before, but you think like what decade that we're probably going to die in? It's probably going to be the 80s or the 90s. Probably me, the 50s. But
Oh, God.
like that's the decade that we're probably out. Everyone that we know is going to start to die.
Yeah.
Good start.
Oh, there was no point to that beyond just acknowledging the fact that it's happening.
That's correct. Are you mad at me?
No, I'm not.
All right. Okay, I just picked up some.
No, I mean, if I'm mad at you, it's that you've come out of the gate with such a good line in the terrible 20s that I feel like you've put me on the back foot here. You've shown up ready to play, and I haven't even got my socks on.
Wait till I tell you about what kind of soap I've been using.
Well, listener, you'll have to wait. Welcome to Deep Fort, everybody. This is a podcast in which we talk about the big news of the world, and this week, the world is full of news, baby. Sitting through the internet with me this week, my friend Michael. Hello.
Hello. How's it going? How are you? Hope you're well. Thanks for joining me and Nick.
Oh, thank you. Well, I have nothing less to say. You've covered everything off. This
Professional.
really is a first. Yeah.
Professional. Bar soap. I've become a bar soap guy.
Oh, God.
Just out of the blue.
What is it with men and bar soap?
I've always been anti-bar soap. Never liked it. Like how, like it's like, there's pubes on there. It's like, it seems so gross. But, in the last few weeks, I've become a bar soap guy. And I'm buying them by the twos. Because there's a 2 for $5 deal at Chemist Warehouse.
Bar soap.
Yeah. There's Chemist Warehouse. There's a 2 for $5 deal on goat soap, Manuka honey.
Okay, 2 for $5.
Manuka.
2 bars $5 or 5 bars.
2 bars
for $2?
$5, and a bar lasts me at least a month.
A day or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
What has led you to even look at it on the shelf and think, you know what, I'll give that another crack? Presumably this was a travel thing where you ended up in a foreign bathroom and you had limited options and you thought, well, I guess I'm barring.
My hands are very sensitive, so I buy all this this soap-free stuff, and I've been using this soap-free body wash, but it gets quite expensive, and I think it must have been a travel thing where I was like, I'll try the bar soap thing, and it's just been gentle on on my hands, and I can get a nice lather. Sometimes when I use body wash, it kind of I got to slap it on, and it just like immediately rinses away, and I can never get a lather.
That's a rookie mistake.
Yeah, I'm a rookie. I'm a rookie when it comes
You're a
to
shower rookie. Yeah, and
when
you're
it
not
comes
afraid
to
to admit it.
washing. But yeah, no, got a nice lather on the bar soap, and it's easy when you're living with just one other person. That's the other thing. I guess that's the other thing. When you're in a communal, even with your family, and then like even with housemates, it's like I can't leave my cleaning body, vessel just out there for everyone to lick.
Your cleaning body vessel out there for everyone to lick.
That's right.
What the
That's what
fuck
it
are
is.
you talking about?
It's the vessel by which I clean my body.
Okay.
So
And people are out there licking it.
I assume so.
Okay.
That
is a weird choice though. If you've got a family bathroom and there's a communal soap, that's a choice I don't think you can justify. Like if we all have separate toothbrushes, why are we having one bar of soap?
Do you have separate toothbrushes?
Okay, I'll walk you through this later.
Okay.
Let me explain to you your methodology problem with liquid body wash. You got to turn off the shower when you're body washing up.
That's
you get
insane.
in there, you get under it, you're warm, you're covered in water. Turn off that tap, rub, lather up.
Mid shower, you turn off the tap.
Yeah, turn it right off.
You've just
And
lost
then-
everyone here.
No,
That's crazy.
I mean, this was an innovation in shower technology that was pioneered back in the South Australian drought, where conservation of water this is an era when everyone had buckets in their showers. We were trying to be sensible. You turn off that tap for 1 minute. I promise you won't get cold.
1 minute.
You won't get cold. I promise
is-
you. You will not get cold. You're not out of the pod, so you're still covered in like a steam. The walls of the glass, the tile underfoot, it's all been heated by water for 5 minutes at that point. You stand there for 1 minute, you rub yourself down, you got some friction, you got a little bit of a lather going, you put that back on, you will not notice a single difference. And you're saving the environment.
Fuck the environment. I've never felt more vindicated after just hearing you ramble nonsensically about this. Is insane. Turning off the shower midstream. Like, get out of here, dude. Get out of here.
I think you'll find that actually you're the idiot who's now using a bar soap. That's going to be incredibly drying. You're concerned about the hydration levels of your fingertips, and now you're going to rub a bar soap all over you every day? What are you doing? Now you're going to have to moisturize everything, and your hands are going to get drier.
I am addicted to moisturizing. I have two types
You
of
love
hand
to
cream.
cream yourself. Yeah.
I love creaming. You know what I was traveling. I was in Adelaide over the last week, and it was hot. And typically, when my hands flare up, I'm not sure if you call it eczema. This is TMI probably, but whatever. My hands start to peel especially when it gets
More
hot.
like
When
a
we were
dermatitis?
I guess so. I've
Or
had
is
it
it
my
like a
whole.
fungal infection?
Well, I don't think it's that. I think it's like a seasonal dermatitis, but it flares up. When we were in, near the equator, when we were traveling in Vietnam and stuff, it was like they would peel a lot, and it was quite humid and hot in Adelaide over the last week, and my hands started to peel quite badly, to the point where my biometric Touch ID on my keypad started to not recognize me. So how crazy is that? So I had to reset it.
It's like a snake shedding its skin.
Yeah, but then becoming like
grosser.
a new snake.
Yeah.
Super gross. Anyway,
So I
enough
think that
about-
just suggests that you shouldn't be using bar soap, because that doesn't sound like a healthy thing to have happen.
a stretch limo has just pulled up at the front of my house. I'm not kidding.
Okay. Well, do you need to go hop in? I mean, they've got to have space.
It's one of those Hummer ones.
They've got to have space. That's the thing.
Hummers. Wow. Anyway, just while we're on health, I'd like to just put a call out about this, which a gift I received. Here it is in the mail this week. Mm-hmm. It was some nasal strips and a sleeping mask. Now, this had no address, like return address from it. It looks like an eBay purchase or something. The name on it is Michael, and then it's starred out. Like it's just the stars.
Don't
Like they've
dox
started
yourself.
my.
Don't
Well, yeah, I won't put this up as the clip. But I have no idea who sent me this. It was very strange. I spoke to you about it during the week. You said you had nothing to do with it. I believe you, ish. Lauren said she's got nothing to do with it. I strongly suspect it's got something to do. I think it's someone who listens to this podcast because I've been yapping on about my sleep a lot. They have to know my address. So identify yourself, please.
Do you feel like that's a response to something that's happened, though? I mean, nasal strips, that implies like
Snoring.
okay, he's snoring. That's maybe something we've talked about in the past. We played a little audio clip of you choking or whimpering or something.
Unrelated.
You're looking at yourself in the camera like a fucking budgerigar.
No, because I want to show you. I've got a deviated septum. See how one nostril is a lot more shut than the other one.
Oh yeah.
So that's normal, but I've had a nose operation in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to call out someone's nose deformity, so I'll let you self-describe that way.
You've literally done it via song. Your Christmas songs. Yeah, you did. You referenced my beak.
Christmas song.
Never forgotten.
Oh, yeah. Was it something about how excited your ENT would be? Yeah, something like that. Maybe go back and listen to Dismiss. The point being, we've maybe touched on snoring on this pod before. I don't remember anything about eye mask. Is this a plane travel thing? Is this a complaining about how bright it was in a bedroom? Like that's an interesting one. That's a twist.
The whole thing is very confusing because it is useful. I'm going to use these products that whoever sent them to me has sent. But yeah, I'm confused by. It's not quite what I've complained about, but it is useful nonetheless. So I don't know. Maybe the stalker's back. I don't know.
Okay,
Stalky.
That would be impressive because you've moved house several times since the stalker.
Yeah, Stalky Sue. If you're listening, would love to catch up for a coffee. Thank you for the gift.
Oh man.
So how have you been? How have you been, man?
I've been pretty well, but I've got to tell you, I feel a bit unsettled. And this sort of this is the world at large question that I sort of want to get into this pod. We have actually had people clamoring us asking to talk about this situation.
Clamoring.
But I feel like, I don't know, we're on the precipice of something here that's a bit scary. And so I feel like today we need to talk a bit about the Iran war situation, but also just the general vibes and the international sort of flow-on effect stuff. And here's where I want to start. In New Zealand, we have 18 days worth of fuel. 18 days for the entire country. The big one apparently is actually diesel. Petrol is neither here nor there, but diesel is the one which all the trucks use to fill up your supermarket shelves.
Skyrocketed,
It's what the ambulances use. It's what the farmers use for agriculture. Yeah. If we don't get diesel, then fucking all of society grinds to a halt. We diesel. That's why they called it that. The cost of petrol over here in New Zealand, it was always more than Australia. But I was happy here if I could find a place to fill up for $2.20. If I could get $2.20 or even $2.30, I was happy. Yep. Right now, it is $3.30, $3.40, $3.50. Right, it's gone up a full.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah, it is. I filled up half a tank the other night for $88.
Wow.
It is fucked. So I'm just genuinely feeling kind of unsettled. I feel like the government currently here has said, don't panic. There's no need to, stop. There's no need to conserve fuel, blah, blah, blah. We have stuff coming. But it's all so volatile that I feel like saying just act normal is actually really irrational. And that we should actually be trying to work from home or try and be more conservative in our, use and all that kind of thing. And people will be because they can't afford to, but not because the government has instructed to yet.
Yes.
And I just feel like there is a very decent chance that in 2 weeks' time, we're at a crisis point where everyone's working from home again because no one can afford to drive their cars to work. Where it's just a crisis of our own making.
Yes, there's chatter here about kind of an energy lockdowns.
Yeah,
Not similar to kind of similar to the COVID stuff, but not enforcing
not
everyone,
for a
but like
medical
just
person. Yeah,
making it easier for people to not move around, or incentivizing people to not move around via working from home, etc.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw a guy on Twitter, Australian guy. He these diesel these people who have diesel, as you said, they're people who, a lot of them are driving trucks running on diesel. A lot of them are remote, rural, and they're farmers. They're agriculturalists,
You
whatever. Is
threw that
that
out was so well. That came off that flew off the tongue so
is
smoothly. I
that
was
is that
really
not just a
impressed.
farmer? Is that is that a
Oh, no,
farmer?
no, 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 not a mere farmer. This is an agriculturalist.
Fuck yeah, dude. And they're driving longer distances, and they're driving a lot more because that's the nature of working and living rurally.
Yeah,
Yeah, and he's like he's saying he filled up his truck for $750. It cost him because diesel's gone to $5.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, it's having flow-on effects to everyone. Fuel here, I think, is give or take about 250. It's hovering around and there, so it's not as bad. It sounds like as what's
yeah,
going on over there.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, the flow-on effects from this this shooting from the hip decision from Trump to to basically do something with Iran. No one really knows what it is, including him or them. Is amazing. It's how quickly it's happened. And yeah, maybe you know a bit more about this, but I understand we've got reserve supplies of fuel.
yeah. They
But
tend to have a bit of a stockpile, but yeah,
as you kind of said before, I think there is a sense from people here, probably New Zealand and the States, that they're telling us to just wait out. It's not as bad. We're going to be fine. But there
yeah,
is a sense, I think, from people that it's not fine, and we're being told, like almost like a parent telling a child, oh, don't worry, we're not losing the house. But
yeah.
it's like, well, we don't know the exact mechanics of what's going on behind closed doors. But I feel like you're pulling the wool over our eyes a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand that there is probably some desire to not cause a rational panic. Like it ended up being mostly true in the COVID pandemic that food supplies and things were never really at risk, right? So people hoarding food and stuff was actually an unnecessary sort of inflationary kind of behavior that didn't actually have that much ripple effect. I just think in this situation, the rational observer, anyone who's had even the slightest glancing view of the way that Trump behaves, thinks, and acts, knows that he's unhinged and unpredictable. No one can justify the war in the first place. So acting like this is a rational thing that's going to be easily resolved in a week or two is completely irrational because he's irrational. You can't bank your country's independence on a generalized sense that, it will all work out. And I think that's why it's so disconcerting, because it's not like oh, don't worry, it'll be all right because we have some kind of secret plan or we have a better understanding of the maneuver of ships and stuff. But like all of the data about how much oil is being produced at international plants, not just from Iran, but Asian-based, American-based, other kind of what do you call them? I was about to say distilleries, but that's not right. Refineries. We've seen the production levels drop, so we know there's less being made. The New Zealand government is banking this calculation on the fact that they have earmarked supplies en route on big ships, but there's every chance those ships will be turned around. Australia is explicitly, I think, using coal as a leverage to say, you give us fuel. You want coal, you need to give us fuel. Like they're actively bargaining now with places to ensure that the supply is maintained. But New Zealand isn't doing anything like that.
No.
So when they say, oh, just business as usual, don't worry about it, it just feels facile. Like how can it be business as usual when it's so unpredictable?
No. And I think what's to your point, I think what's clear, but just speaking to Trump's unpredictability and haphazardry, is that it seems like he feels really good about how clean, I'm putting that in kind of quotes here, how clean the Venezuela operation was, and
Yeah.
and I'm not fully across how I understand that fuel plays a factor there, but he is shooting from the hip. He's got people like Rubio. Are they neocons? Is he a neocon? What is a
Rubio,
neocon?
I don't know. He's probably more just classic Republican, but yeah.
But he's the one in Trump's ear gunning for this, and
Yeah.
Cuba as well. And so,
Well, Hegseth was the one who was gunning for the war in the first place, right?
sure.
Yeah.
So I think the combination of people who have clear objectives and intentions, when it comes to Venezuela and Iran and Cuba, whispering in Trump's ear, who I'm guessing here isn't fully understanding the whole thing, just thinks that he backs his gut because it's from his perspective it's worked
Trump
in the
is
past.
never wrong. Yeah.
So he's got the whispering, and then he's shooting from the hip with this stuff. And this is what I was trying to explain to someone in my family over the Adelaide trip is, I think the thing is with Trump, there is part, often, that not all the time, but there's part, some of his ideas or some of his decisions to do things, there is merit in them. I think the Iranian regime under Khamenei was oppressive, disastrous, and I think eliminating, decapitating the head of that regime, I think in a vacuum is a good thing. But it's without the second phase of that, which is the plan and the strategy post decapitation, you have nothing. You have nothing. And you can. I said to my dad, I could say to you, this is kind of a clunky analogy, but if I said to you, Dad, I'm gonna clean the gutters in your house. You've said that they're blocked. I'm gonna go ahead and clean them. That's a good thing, right? But then Dad catches me up there on a ladder, and the way I've decided to clean them is to light all the gunk on with fuel and set it on fire. It's having the intention and the thing alone is not enough. You need the other thing, and that's what they're lacking.
Execution and aftermath. Yeah.
And the third thing, which sits underneath all of that, is the communication and stating to people why you are doing the thing that you're doing. And the last two there, they haven't even tried to do.
Yeah. I mean, you've set me up perfectly for this. So this was an article here. I'll pop the link in the chapter title if you want to read it. But this was basically a summary of a press conference that Trump gave. Quote, this is barely exaggerated. At 12:03 p.m., President Trump told reporters he wanted a ceasefire with Iran. At 12:05, he declared victory. At 12:07, he announced he was sending Marines. At 12:08, he said no boots on the ground. At 12:11, he said he did not want a ceasefire. At 12:16, he declared victory again. At 12:17, he asked for a ceasefire. At 12:23, he told NATO they were cowards. At 12:29, he said Iran was begging for a ceasefire. At 12:31, he said everything was perfect. At 12:36, he said $500 oil was a good thing. At 12:37, he demanded Iran open Hormuz. At 12:39, he said Hormuz was never closed. At 12:41, he said the US was not at war with Iran. At 12:42, he declared victory in Iran. It's beyond parody.
And he's. I mean, this X is good for this, and many other things, including my stream of consciousness reviews of movies.
How many new
Follow
followers did you
minutes.
pick up after last
I've
episode?
actually lost 3. I'm not kidding. I've lost 3 followers, which is 10%. I don't know what happened. I hope that they're bots, but I don't know.
That's so
Anyway,
funny.
for another pod. The Iranian government or the Iranian regime is mocking him. He's saying he's going out there and saying, when he's extending the deadline, he said that deadline,
Yeah.
and then he's like, no, we're having productive court talks. So we're gonna. They're coming out and they're tweeting, no, we're having no talks. They're also producing these AI videos that are mocking him. Videos of China's ships going through the Strait of Hormuz and letting them go through and then bombing, and then they're using language that is kind of in a Gavin Newsom kind of way, mocking him. They're signing off some of their tweets with "Thank you for your attention on this matter," which is how Trump tweets. And they're kind of mocking him in this way, and it is an interesting thing to play out because obviously the US has got them covered in terms of military might, but it does feel the vibe is that Iran is winning this, and I think that's they can't hold a candle to America's military force, but what they can do is endure maybe for longer than them. They're using cheaper drones. I heard American missiles, ballistic missiles are maybe they're not ballistic, but they're about $1 million per missile. And you might fire 2 or 3 and maybe one of them strikes, but Iran is using cheap drones to blow up these missiles. So they don't have the ballistic missiles that Iran and the US and Israel do. But if you've got a lot of these cheaper made drones that are actually effectively
for $1,000, and kill a $1 million investment,
and the absolute ace up their sleeve, which they are playing right now, is they know that we can shut down the global economic heart of the world, and we're going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy thing, we talked about this previously as well, but the crazy thing is that there was an Iran treaty, a really strong, proactive, kind of groundbreaking treaty from 2016, right? Where they had agreed to, random nuclear site inspection and all this kind of things, that unprecedented access to these places. And then Trump got in and immediately ripped it up because he didn't like that Obama had done it, right? And now that there's this instability there, now that there's this instability, he comes in and he decides he needs to fix it. It's the problem that he caused. Just.
Oh, the other elephant in the room here is that I don't know if you saw about this, but there's clearly some insider trading going on because someone has made fucking millions and millions of dollars by buying. I can't remember exactly what it was, but they what do they do?
Well, I mean, they all have, right? Because Trump ultimately, and this is very clear, Trump was only ever interested in the presidency for himself, right? He didn't do it out of a sense of duty to the country. He only governs America for the side of America that supported him. He doesn't see his responsibility as to all Americans, and in fact, he actively persecutes the other half of them. And then that narcissism continues all the way to his self-interest, right? Like, how much money has he made from being president? The number of international governments who funnel him money, who stay at his hotels, who, do these deals. The fact that he's, quote, speaking to people and doing a deal about Iran, and Iran saying, we're not speaking to anyone, just means that some greasy fucking guy has slid into his, network and is promising him the world, which means he's just going to get some kind of kickback from it. It's all just money grubbing, self-interested grift. Yeah.
Well, I think that's I think that's the scary thing about this untethered Trump 2.0 presidency is that if you accept the statement that Trump is mostly self-interested, which I would agree with,
Not hard to accept. Yep.
then he doesn't really care about the future of America. He cares about how much money he can make and what his legacy is. And I think he even said something on Jesse Waters a couple of weeks ago. He said, because he's put his name on the why am I calling it the Trump Kennedy Center? I guess that's what it's called now. The Kennedy Center. He's creating a statue of himself. I don't know if you know about that. The
No,
ballroom's going to be
Yeah.
named up. But he said to Jesse,
He's putting his signature on money now, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which is the first time that's been done by a sitting president, by the president themselves. And he said to Jesse Waters, well, if I don't do these things, who's going to? Which I think was really striking, because it shows that there is a self-awareness. I think he wouldn't admit it, but I feel like it seeps out that he's aware that he's unpopular. I think in his heart of hearts, he's aware that he's unpopular. And so he's doing all these things now. He knows he's not going to be like who's a president that, I think maybe Roosevelt or Eisenhower.
Someone that crossed the aisle, you mean? That
someone who left office unpopular, but they're in the context of time became kind of more appreciated.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter, though he was kind of always popular, I guess.
Yeah, I
don't know enough American.
Parroting this from a podcast that I listened to this morning, but anyway, I think he's aware that maybe this is too generous, that people aren't going to erect statues of Trump, in 30 years' time. No one's going to be naming the Trump Kennedy Center in 30 years' time, because his legacy has become, the smoke has cleared, and it's been, in the context of time. No, Trump actually had a good effect on the world.
Yeah. I mean, I think that to me, it feels a little bit more like, this is always who Trump was, right? Trump, it was always a narcissist. Trump always wanted the adulation. Trump always wanted the tacky Oval Office and to leave his mark on things. But in the first presidency, he was surrounded by people who would rein that in a bit, who would say, Mr. President, you can't do this. The polling won't like this. That you don't have the support for this, the blah, 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 and that they would distract him. They would, divert him onto something else, and you don't end up, demolishing a part of the White House. In this presidency, I think it's the same Trump with the same narcissism and the same disorder. If anything, maybe it has worsened because of his age and deteriorating mental state. But I think that the core of who he was and that interest is the same. But there's no one there to say no to him. So now every idea that he puts forward is a good idea. And there's no, government... what's the word I'm looking for? The quote
Checks.
Deep state has been ousted, and the only people left there in any of those positions of power are not independent anymore. They're subservient to him and to his wishes.
Yeah, they are loyalists. And I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. In his first term, he do you remember? I mean, he was firing people left, right, and center. Scaramucci.
Yeah.
Mooch. He lasted 11 days. Sean Spicer got fired. Kellyanne, I can't remember if she fired or quit, but there's no real firings apart from Kristi Noem, and even that was an HR kind of congratulations on your lateral move to the queen of the fairies. Yeah. And I wonder if that maybe a bit of that's got to do with Epstein. But yeah, it is interesting that he's not really fired anyone. Maybe that's, to your point, a result of he's just got these hardcore loyalists around him, and so he's just not being tethered.
What them for? They're saying yes to everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a generational fuck up. Like the amount of time, effort, and money and work it would take to undo this shit is going to exceed our lifetime. Like this is so fucked. Like even if they're talking about if you were to open up the Strait of Hormuz today and return things, it'll take 3 years to rebuild infrastructure to the level that was there, a month ago, because it's been bombed. It's been fucked up, So
it is akin to COVID, but if COVID was done intentionally, which it
Yeah,
might have
and
been.
I was waiting for you to say that. But weirdly, I mean, it's not fair to equate them and say one is worse than the other. But in some ways, the paralysis of the country that we're facing now with no fuel is going to be arguably harder to ride out than a purely medical problem. Like a pandemic problem had so many problems and it's very difficult. And yes, there were supply issues and that kind of thing. But if we like properly, truly run out of fuel, the way that devolves into very bad situations very quickly is, you know, up there, if not worse than the pandemic. Even things like healthcare, I have friends who are working in hospitals and things, and they are trying to work out. We've got pediatric oncology wards, kids with cancer. What do we do if we can't get the chemo drugs in? What do we do if the families can't afford to get in the car and drive to the hospital? What if we can't afford to send an ambulance out to pick someone up? What the fuck do we do if society can't move? Like, how much agricultural independence do we have? You got enough food in your backyard to keep you going?
Yeah.
The problems here get very bad.
Everything is need everything that the economy survives on. It depends primarily on those goods and services being transported, and transported means fuel. I've just done a quick
smoothly and consistently. Yeah,
done a quick side GPT thing because I was interested on where Australia and New Zealand gets their fuel from. So primarily, Australia and New Zealand, interestingly, gets their fuel from Singapore, South Korea, Japan, and smaller amounts from China and India. And New Zealand is largely the same. And I've just asked Chatty here, why is this affecting us? And it says, why is the Iran conflict affecting us if we are getting most of our fuel not from the Middle East? And it says, because fuel prices are set on a global market, not where we physically buy it from. So even though Australia and New Zealand gets most of its fuel from places like Singapore or South Korea, the price of that fuel is tied to global oil prices, and the Iran conflict is blowing those up.
Yeah.
So it may not be necessarily
we're buying it from Asia, but Asia's
issue.
Still buying it from somewhere else.
Is that right?
Yeah, a lot of these places, there's some native supply, but most of the world's oil is in the Middle East.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if you're an electric car company, you must be licking your lips right now.
Well, that's the thing. I genuinely looked at it because I'm like, we have solar, we have a battery. We're 2/3 of the way there to being self-sufficient in that respect. I don't have a car connection in the wall, like I can't plug in an electric vehicle, and I don't have an electric car. It was on our radar. It's something that we're looking at doing down the line, right? But now I'm very incentivized to go and see if I can find one now. But the cost of EVs shooting up because everyone's having the same idea, and the supply is limited. The number of used cars is limited. The number of cars that are being imported from overseas is going to shrink because it's so fucking expensive to transport things anymore. So now
I wonder. I mean, if you're a conspiracy theorist, I mean, you could. I mean, there is. I wonder if there is a kind of a big EV kind of brand's trust behind some of this stuff, lobbying. I don't know.
I mean, that's a very circuitous route to go about it. I mean, do I think that if we get through the other side of this, that there would be a serious, noticeable uptick in the number of people who make that decision and commit to an EV going forward? Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's a nice silver lining. If we can, decrease our reliance on oil, fucking great. But the road there is very bumpy. So let's hope that it doesn't come to, a complete grinding halt before we get there.
I literally just bought a car as well, so that's...
Oh, shit. Hopefully not 95.
What's the 95?
95, the fuel grade. 91 is standard unleaded. 95 is premium unleaded. You've got nothing. You're looking blanker now than before I'd explained.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't driven it yet. What do stretch Hummers?
Wow, that's a fast delivery. That only just showed up. I guess my only other sort of thought here, as we start to wind down on this, is that maybe this sounds paranoid, maybe it's unnecessary, but I am genuinely gonna buy a little bit more food and just have a few more cans of things on the shelves. Doesn't hurt, doesn't cost that much more,
Why?
and just in case that we get to a point, this might be New Zealand specific. Maybe how many days of fuel does Australia have? But if we
30.
get to a point where supply 30,
I think so.
if we get to a point where supply of stuff starts to dry up, well, then I've got another couple of things on the shelf. I mean, the other crazy thing is that the cost of everything else is going to go up because the cost of fuel underlines the cost of every other service and item, right?
Yeah.
So at a certain point, a company who's having to import their stuff from China now has to pay the excess, $1,000 on the fuel, and so everything gets passed on to the consumer. So,
Well, I saw Easter eggs now. Easter eggs going up to $23 for just a giant egg.
oh jeez,
A bunny, just a regular Cadbury bunny, $12.
yeah. I mean, the inflation of stuff in the technology sector is crazy at the moment as well because this is a total tangent, but the AI demand on RAM on computer memory is so obsessive and so like that bubble is claiming basically every chip that they can make. The demand for it is so high that the cost of them is skyrocketed. Sometimes it's 5x what it was a year ago. So that means the cost of computers, of game consoles, of phones, of everything like that, because it's so supplier constrained, they're all going to shoot up in price. So genuinely, if you're out there thinking, I was going to buy a new PC, the sooner you can buy that, the better, because give it a 6 months or a year, it'll be twice as expensive.
Yeah.
And that's unrelated to the oil thing. I mean, the oil thing's not going to help, but the AI costs from the RAM are crazy. So yeah.
How do you think Trump is stuck? Do you think is there a way that he can get out of this and not lose market? Because what I'm seeing on X is that there is he's losing his base. He's slowly than it should, but guys like Rogan, he's being critical of him.
Is
People
Rogan
in the
continuing to be critical? Like when you say that, like I don't listen, but like every week is he talking about how this has gone bad, or is this like one time he said, "Oh, he fucked this up," and he's never talked about it again? Is it an ongoing theme?
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not listening to every yet. But what I've noticed is some of the guys that he's had on lately. I'm trying to think. People like Dave Smith, I think his name is. He was kind of big. He's a big anti-Israel guy. But a lot of his friends are now are going on his show and telling him what's what and saying this is fucked up. I don't want anything to do with MAGA anymore. And Rogan is slower than them, but like he's trying. You can feel that he's turning.
The ship's turning. Yeah.
The ship is certainly turning. Well, I mean, Trump. It's interesting to Trump's strategy here, if there is one, because he was anti-interventionalist. He ran on that. He's ran on
No more wars in the Middle East. Yep.
releasing the Epstein files. He's doing all of those. He's doing the opposite of what his base wanted, and he is losing. He's actively losing to them. So I wonder, do you see a roadmap out for him? From this war, like if he pulls out and he sorry, but if he pulls out tomorrow and he claims a win, which is what everyone's kind of expecting, and eventually he'll, no matter what happens, he'll be like, yeah, we
solved it,
we've done it, or people's gas prices and groceries keep going up, and the war continues for years. Like, what is the way out for him?
I think the answer is that he doesn't care.
About his
He
base?
no, he doesn't care. He never cared about the base. He cared about getting into power because getting into power saved him from prosecution. It gave him control over the Justice Department. It gave him access to people who would then pay him money for favors. It was always self-interest, right? And he said the things that was necessary in an election campaign to get people to vote for him again.
Yeah,
right?
I think he cared about his base in the sense that he needed to care enough to get elected again.
Yeah, but I don't think he cared about his base. If Donald Trump ever met any of those people, he would fucking tell them to be removed from his property, right? He doesn't care about them. He cares about feeling adulated. He cares about people who big him up, and being in front of a crowd that cheers his name massages his ego. He cares about getting the thing he wanted, which was power and security, and the base did that for him. But he didn't care for them or about their problems.
No.
He just cared about them in the way that, you care about
business.
the solution to your
It's transactional.
pathway.
Yeah.
It's transaction. It's not even transactional in that he's not giving them anything. He just they were what he needed to use in order to get what he wanted, and then he can discard them. So now he's in a place where he got the things that he wanted. None of the problems that are currently affecting America or the world affect him because he's the president, right? He's not going to be like, fuck, it costs more to fill up at the tank. He's not feeling the cost of living crunch or the loss of a son on a foreign shore in a war that they were enlisted to. None of this Epstein file stuff has stuck on him, and the things that did get closer, why he probably started the war in the first place, right? So he doesn't care about them, and I don't think he fears whether they turn on him, because what can they do? They're not going to kick him out of office. He's already in office. The average layperson cannot do anything to him, so he doesn't care whether they vote for him or not. And in fact, he's in such a sphere of delusion that he still thinks he's incredibly popular. So the only thing that can really shake him is a loss of his power and station, and the fact that we're this far in and he's still not been impeached. There's not been any pushback from Republicans or Democrats alike. He's insulated from from so there's nothing that matters now.
And not only that, I mean, he can grift right up until the last day of his presidency, and then pardon everyone, which is what he'll obviously do.
Yeah, and he's taking the bribes. He's got a plane. He's got paid $10 billion for something recently, wasn't it? $1 billion, $10 billion for the TikTok deal, or he's asked the Department of Justice to pay him that money for the historical. It doesn't matter. He can just do what he wants. There's never been consequences, so he doesn't care.
What I just wonder all the time about this guy is, he's 82 years old. His health seems to be ailing quite a bit. He doesn't. How aware is he of his death? I mean, I guess it's the same with the Rupert Murdoch and stuff. I just don't understand these guys that just chase power aggressively and money right up until they die. I mean, why? I mean, it's a question that's not going to be answered, but he's just an animal, I guess.
I mean, he didn't have the other thing in his life that matters, right? And I think admitting that it requires more
self-reflection,
self-awareness than these people have,
But surely on a survival mentality, you must be does he think he's going to live after he dies? Because he surely can't imagine a world without Trump. He can't imagine not existing. But there must be some awareness just on a primal level that, he won't live forever.
Yeah, but I mean, how was that going to affect his behavior? Do you think he's suddenly going to be like, oh, I've only got 10 years left. I really shouldn't start this war, maybe I should have leave the world a better place than where I found it, I think he's just broken enough that nothing's changing at this point.
Yeah.
He'll go to his deathbed thinking he was the most important person in the universe.
Yeah, on some level, he's like a kind of a single cell organism that's just seeing light and dark and getting food, and it just doesn't know why it's doing the thing, but it's just I just do this. This is what I'm built for. It's purely kind of primal
Yeah.
instinct. Can,
You know,
can
the
I
thing
just
that
touch on one other thing, just
yeah, of
while we're
course.
on it, just really quickly? Is just you saw his Truth Social about Robert Mueller, who died. Who
Yeah.
was who was Robert Mueller again?
He was the lead attorney, I
Yeah,
guess.
he was the director of the FBI, who
That's
was
right.
working to
Prosecuting
prosecute
the
Trump.
yeah.
And then Trump tweeted out, I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah.
And the uproar from people when Charlie Kirk died, from
Yeah.
about people leftists, glorify, and some of that did exist. I'm not doubting that. I don't think it was representative of the left. We talked about that at the time. But where are you? Where are the MAGA loyalists now? Where? How can you not see this hypocrisy? The guy's not even like subtly, rejoicing in the death of this man. He has blatantly said, "Good,
I'm
I'm
glad
glad
he's
he's dead."
dead. Yeah.
Where are you now? Where are you called? Like, I don't understand
Yeah.
the
Robert
intellectual.
Mueller was a Republican, by the way. um,
Right, right.
but like, yeah, I mean, I said this at the time, right? The answer is that the right wants to be able to do and say whatever it wants without consequences, and that wants to hold the left to some degree of standard that they don't apply to themselves, right? And that was obvious at the time there as well, because of the way it was blowing out of proportion any reaction towards Charlie Kirk's murder, right? But yeah, I'm not surprised in the fucking slightest that he comes out and says this thing, and there's no like, oh, Mr. President, that's very, that's inappropriate. He was a diligent servant of the country and fulfilling he was what, like a Purple Heart or something? Robert Mueller? He was like a war veteran or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Let me
he was
have a look.
decorated fella. I mean, we just live in an
Marine Corps service in the Vietnam War.
Not saying anything new here, but it's frustrating that we live in a world now that is so binary. Sorry, sorry to the binary community for putting an extra syllable in there. That people don't even care about the actual truth. It's just I want to win. I want to win the argument. I'm going to double down. We're in the double down era right now,
Yeah.
and it sucks.
Yeah. Do you have the Instagram up at the moment just to double check what Maggie's question was to see whether we covered her area of interest?
Yeah. Shout out to Maggie, by the way. She got engaged yesterday.
Oh, congratulations.
Maggie, friend of the show, congrats. She said, can you please do an urgent episode on defense partnership with the EU? Is this the end of US hegemony? Did I pronounce that correct? Hegemony?
I think hegemony? It's hegemony. Yeah.
Hegemony.
But I've heard both.
Are we breaking ties? Does this make us more or less likely to go to war? I think we did kind of cover most of that.
Yeah, we didn't speak too much about the EU angle of it. I mean, my dad, shout outs, Jeffrey, fan of the show. He actually just got back from Nepal. So he said he was listening to Deep Thought when he was in on mountaintops and things.
He's in India as well,
Bhutan.
Wasn't he, with your mum?
India, Bhutan, and Nepal. He has said, only half joking for probably 20 years, that Australia should be part of the EU. And I think that's founded on an idea that the EU is imperfect, but it is nevertheless probably one of the most forward-looking examples of democracy and international cooperation and peacetime, that the earth has yet produced. And I think, given the collapse of America and the rise of China and, the instability in what it used to be the stabilizing superpower, finding new allies is going to be really important. And I think, the conversations we're now having with Commonwealth countries about re-establishing direct trade links and treaties and, removing import taxes for new allies is going to be a really sensible diversification strategy, because if the US continues to plummet, we can't have all of our eggs in that basket.
No.
Do we get to a point where we are a member of like a military treaty with those places where, I mean, historically we've been allies with the UK and our brethren back home, but to the point where we're part of the EU and a member state there? I don't know. I mean, it sounds reasonable to me. I mean, you could make the argument geographically it's more complex than being the instigator of a oceanic union, with our surrounding brethren here, but there's a little bit more of a question of east meets west over here, where some of our surrounding countries are not perhaps at the same democratic level or economic level. Do we want to be the America underpinning an oceanic? I say we, meaning Australia. Does Australia want to be the core founding member of a oceanic union?
Which would involve who? Australia and New Zealand, and who else?
Yeah, but then like also Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, the Pacific Islands around New Zealand. Do we go up to the Asian peninsulas, to Japan, to Korea? Like how much democratic cohesion can we get on this side of the world?
We could just say, fuck it, let's just become allies with China and just be part of the East and go full commie and but seriously though, my push it's not pushback, but my question to that, because I think it's an interesting idea about joining the EU is first of all, we are very blessed in this where we are in the world, Australia and New Zealand, just to be kind of outside of all this kind of chaos going on, and you do feel increasingly more grateful that we are even
not
where we are
in the guts,
specifically where we are in this kind of a southern area of, we're quite far away from all this stuff. I mean, is part of our strength being far away from this stuff? I mean, we are allies of the US, but is it best for us to stay away from what would we get from the EU?
Into it?
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on in Europe too.
I mean, just to back step briefly to what you said about China, should we join China? I think the remarkable thing about China, we've talked about this sort of in passing in other pods over the years, but the pivot that they have done recently, by recently I mean in the past couple of decades, to clean up their act in terms of fuel reliance, the immense solar infrastructure that China has been installing, like acres and acres and acres of panels. The panels sit on top of greenhouses, which are used to grow food. Like the strides that they've taken to energy independence, to self-sufficiency, it's had these flow-on economic effects and environmental effects. But the motivation has been, we're not going to rely on other people to keep ourselves alive. That's actually a remarkable accomplishment. But for a country of that size to be in a place now where they're actually not using that much oil, per capita, is kind of remarkable. And it just shows how, I think, complacent other countries have been in assuming the status quo is going to stay the same, because now we're all, up in the air.
I mean, look, there's so much meat on this bone, so we can't get to everything. But I mean, China is the kind of silent other big player in this Iran conflict, because they get their 80% of their oil from the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Iran. And so there's theories that a lot of this, and Venezuela, by the way. So there's an argument to be made that part of what America is doing here is trying to cut off the blood supply to China in order to reassert itself as Team America.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the government is capable of that degree of political strategy, but it doesn't feel true to me that they would make that kind of 3D chess move. It really feels to me more just like impulse of distraction than, you know what, we really need to destabilize the Chinese government fuel fuel reliance. But it's possible, I suppose. The shame is that, it really, again, Australia has come a long way in terms of self-sufficiency with things like solar. I think 1 in 2 houses in Australia and South Australia and maybe somewhere, I forget where the other one was. 2 states in Australia have more than 50% solar on residential homes, right? Like, that rollout has been remarkable. I think that the fact that we haven't seen the same level of government level commitment towards that kind of clean energy independence, that kind of thing, when it's the fucking private consumer that has been pushing and driving that change, really just frustrates me so much. Like, we've been doing our bit. Why have you not been more proactively working towards this kind of thing? And I think, just to circle back to what we talked about earlier, I feel like this kind of reality is going to force countries like ours, once we're through the other side of this fuel crisis, to really get its shit in gear and plan for a future where we don't have to import everything to keep the country alive.
Right. I just remember what the thing was that I was going in response to your dad's comment.
Yeah.
I guess a lot of EU nations and Australia and whoever else, do you wait out the Trump presidency and then hope that that the Republican Party self-corrects even somewhat into being more of a predictable player on the global stage, or do you make plans now assuming that it's not? I mean, I guess that's.
I think you have to make plans assuming that it's not because there is only one Trump. There are people that have tried to imitate Trump, but Trump's mix of narcissism and chaos is still relatively unparalleled among other sort of political figures there. So if JD Vance becomes the presumptive nominee next time, or someone else steps up to the plate,
Rubio, he
will be a bad person to have in government, but he will be a more stable person. He will choose to do potentially MAGA-esque things, but perhaps with less of the chaos. And I don't think MAGA-esque things in any flavor are good for the long-term stability of your country. So I think the EU needs to rationally behave like this is not going to be fixed anytime soon. And if we're just holding our breath until Trump's gone, I can't see a way that immediately just returns to normalcy, even if it's a Democratic president next time around.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, it's going to take a number of years to clean up the mess left by Trump. I don't. My gut is that Trump. JD Vance is very unlikable. By all accounts, he's a smart guy, and a moral guy. I think Rubio is more likely to. He's already kind of been anointed by Trump, subtly as the chosen son. But I mean, I can see a world where it gets to the end of Trump's presidency, and I can see where he'd kind of want the Democrats to win the next party, because it makes him look like, well, without me, you don't have what it takes. I can see him kind of wanting selfishly for the Democrats to win.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that. I think that's how I don't know that he had that reaction when Biden won in 2020. His response was, it was stolen. They all wanted me, right?
But he had a vested interest then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to react to that, because he's already made moves suggesting that he wants a third term, right? And he's been half joking, but he's also kind of not. He sees himself as the only person who has the ability to do it, right? So why shouldn't he be able to do it more? It's hard to know what his reaction will be in 2028. He'll probably, if he gets ousted, he will be arguing and angry that he should have been allowed to go again. He'll still find a way to be bitter.
I was reminded of Trump's meeting with Zelensky a few months ago, where Zelensky at the White House was asked why haven't you held an election recently, and the reason is because they're at war.
Yeah.
And Trump literally said, "Oh, you can, if you're at war, you can delay elections, can you?
Yeah.
I'll have to remind that for later." I mean, there is, I mean, the trolling people who say people who support Trump and the Republican Party, when he throws things out there like that, they go, "He's joking, he's joking, he's
Yeah.
joking." But he's done this
But
so
he's
many
not.
times
Yeah.
with Greenland, and then he's like, "He's
Yeah.
joking, he's joking," and then as soon as it becomes like it seems real, they're like, "Well, it's a good strategic." Then they start making excuses for it. So this idea that that he's not serious about it. I mean, Steve Bannon, by all accounts, is the brains behind this MAGA movement.
Yeah.
Bannon does not seem like he's joking at all, and
Yeah.
he's in his interviews he's.
Well, that's also what I was talking about in terms of the amount of time it'll take to fix things, right? Because fundamentally, Trump is the result of a democratic system collapse, right? It is the product of generations of underfunding to public services, to underfunding of education. It is the result of gerrymandering and electoral college structural problems, is the result of money in politics, of lobbying, of Citizens United, of a Supreme Court that is partisan elected, that doesn't have term limits. Like the number of forces that contribute to something like a Trump era extends just beyond there's a guy who was elected to power, right? There's problems with the Senate and their inability to do anything. There's from top to bottom, the American system is broken, right? So the ouster of Trump from this position doesn't fix any of those problems. And that's why I think if I'm the EU and I'm looking at this mess and thinking, okay, well, maybe in 2 years Trump will be gone, it'll all be okay. You can't bank on that because everything else that produced a Trump is still there. So you have to act as if America cannot be relied upon anymore.
I don't think this is necessarily a point, but I would just like to add one more thing to what created Trump, and I think a broken democratic system. I'm not sure about that. I think a large part of why Trump got elected is because people felt they weren't getting a fair go, and Trump was a change, and even though it wasn't. He was not part of the system and not a politician and not kind of a shoot from the hip guy. I think it was a role that people wanted to anything radical, and I think that's a big part of what Trump got elected. And I think you probably see the swing the other way, which is what happened in 2020 when Biden got elected. People were so sick after 4 years of chaos that they were like, well, we just want a boring presidency again. And I think we're only year one of Trump 2.0. Fucking hell.
Yeah,
what is the last bit of this
I
game?
think that reaction also speaks to what I'm saying. Like the reason that people wanted a change is because every other part of society wasn't working for them. Like you're talking about billionaires taking away middle class jobs. You're talking about a lack of a social safety net, of healthcare, of education, of debt, of stress and every level of it, and then a political system which is incapable of taking real concerns from real people and translating it into legislative progress or that kind of hope or optimism for a future in which things can get better. And then you end up looking to someone who's coming in swinging with a radical portfolio or like an appealing you're not going to like this word, but like dictatorial presence, right? Where I am the one who can fix this. I am different. I can do this. That's appealing to people who are looking for change, as you say. I just think we're talking about the same thing, but from different angles here.
Do we need to close out this segment? Because I just want to play you one video. There's a very short
Yeah,
video.
sure. Yeah.
You might have seen it, but I think it just speaks to what we're kind of talking about here.
If you could say something to President Trump and he was going to hear you right now, what would it be?
You're a worthless pile of
And you voted for him how many times?
3 times. That was my bad. Apparently, I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Very good.
Did you?
I mean,
I didn't realize we were listening to it together.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't.
That's
I was
all right.
reminding
It doesn't
myself.
matter.
I have seen that clip before.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, I'm glad that you've woken up, ma'am. I mean, hopefully you won't vote for him for his 3rd term.
I think we need to have empathy for those types of people, because yeah, it's easy to be like, we told you so. Didn't you see the signs? I mean, that's true, but it's also true that like people felt that they had someone in their corner representing them, and they were misled. And it's it's the same in the same way that people get out of Scientology or a cult, and they see. They suddenly see reality, and they're like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking. I think Marga is a cult, personality and ideology, and I do feel sorry for some of those people that are now seeing what's happening.
Yeah, I'm less so. I mean, yeah, great, you've woken up. If this is the point, it's been 10 years of this fucking dude. If this is the point where you've decided, hey, this guy might not be a good dude, you lied to me, and it's because your fucking gas bill went up when you're standing at the petrol station, and none of the other shit crossed the threshold of you having any kind of regrets, I don't know. I don't think you're necessarily a good person, but, good for you. I hope I hope it all works out.
Wow. Okay. Harsh.
The number of things that this person has had to overlook, I mean, don't get me started.
People aren't paying attention to the politics as much as you or I are. So they only really become aware of these things, when it affects them. When there's immigrants in
exactly. That she only cares because it now affects her. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm a
Anyway.
Christian man. I'm a Christian.
Hey, leave the forgiveness to God. Thank you. If you've enjoyed this podcast, well, I hope it was cathartic. It feels good to have talked about. But maybe you need a little bit more catharsis in your life. So go back and listen to an episode from the podcast, deep in the past, back in the time before all of this began, when things were a little bit simpler. You can also reach out to us like Maggie Dick. So you could send a question to deepfort@gmail.com. You can send a message on Instagram or on Facebook. We read those there. You can leave a comment on the Spotify episode of your choosing, and keep in touch with us that way. I feel like we might have a comment this week. Michael, am I correct?
Sure do. You are correct. Comment of the week.
Getting
It's
weirder.
from Ben Quaid. I think if you remember from the last episode, we were wondering about BQ because he didn't comment, which he usually does. And we were wondering if he was no longer with us, but he's back. He's back, not dead. And he replied to our last episode, one bad call after another. Ben Quaid, checking in, not quite dead, although came closer than is advised after my run on Sunday. Shout out to St. John.
He went for I think it's a half marathon. It's like maybe I can't remember. It's multiple kilometers.
2/3.
The city to surf. And stumbled over the finish line, but did it. So congrats to Ben. Hope your shin splints are all right.
Hope your shin splints are all right, baby.
And that's the end of the outro, and you can put that in the bank, baby.
Or invest in the S&P 500. I've got a few more little dotty points, Nick, that I just need to rattle off. My sister got married.
Yay!
So congrats to Laura.
I remember
and
her
Chris.
husband's name. Oh,
Which
you
was?
spoiled it. You've said it already. You've ruined it, but I knew it was Chris.
So yeah, congratulations. Laura's now her last name is Stone, so it's kind of weird It's like, I said this
Yeah,
to her on a wedding day. I felt like she like escaped. I was like, you got out there, you know?
My sister's got a different surname now as well. Same thing.
That's weird. What's her last name now?
Usher.
Asha?
Usher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dot point one. Congrats to Laura. I hope she had a wonderful time. Did you enjoy?
Yes, very nice. And no arguments from the family, which was nice.
That's cute.
Dave Weber and Coco, friend of the show,
Yep.
just had a new baby girl. Just had a new today.
Congratulations, Dave and Coco.
Yes. So
And did they name it after you like they promised?
They named it X-11.
Oh, so not after you. Unless that's your middle name?
That's my middle name. Yeah. Congrats to those guys. Number 2 for them. So they got a boy and a
Maybe
girl.
they ordered the nose strips and the eye mask for them, but they're so like stressed in the lead up to the baby that they put your address in by mistake.
That's a theory. That is a theory.
Hey, while we're doing little dot points, birthday shout out, our friend Dan, happy birthday today.
Oh, yeah, fuck. Daniel.
Daniel.
Sweet baby Dan, friend of the show. Happy birthday.
The big, I was about to say his actual age, and I didn't know whether he would care about that, but the big 2 digits. Happy birthday, my dudes.
He literally just messaged me as well. Happy birthday, Dan, and happy birthday, Elise, friend of the show.
Happy
for her birthday
Elise.
yesterday.
Yay. Everyone's having a nice week.
March Madness.
March.
I think that's all my housekeeping stuff.
Cool. I got a rec. I got a myth. Where do you want to start?
Let's do both of those.
Okay. Myth me, baby. Actually, let's start with Rex. Let's end on myths. Myths are funny. Let's start with Rex. Welcome to Deep Thought's recommendation engine. Okay, I've just got the one sitting here right now, so I might just jump into it with the dish. I told you to go see this movie. I don't think I've talked about it on the pod yet. Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie.
This is one of mine.
It is! Holy shit, okay. I didn't know that you'd gone and seen it. For those people who don't know, Nirvana was a web series that continued from like 2006, 2000, early, in the noughties, as they called them, into the terrible tens. And then it became a show, and then it became a movie. It is a Canadian comedy series, 2 guys. The premise is they're in a band and they want to play a gig at a relatively middle tier bar in Toronto, and every episode was them trying a plan to try and make that happen. Somehow they pulled together this movie multiple years after the series had finished, and it is one of the most gonzo, crazy, hilarious comedies I've seen in ages. I can talk about it for a while, but Michael, I told you to go see this sight unseen. Don't need to know anything, just go and see it. You managed to see it.
Saw it with Elise and Tom kind of when it came out. I wasn't super familiar with them. I'd heard Matt Johnson on a few pods that I listened to, and he just sounded like a really interesting guy. And then I think you mentioned it, and so we went to see it, and yes, it just super like weird, offbeat, bizarre comedy. I didn't know much about it. I heard him say it was a time travel movie. I was like, what's this going to be? But the comedy in it is just so, it's kind of perfectly in the middle of what you and I think appreciate. And I loved it. I loved the whole thing.
The surprising side of it all is there's a real heart underneath of it. Like there's clearly like improvisational moments. These are 2 people who have spent hundreds of hours, making each other laugh, riffing with each other. And then they had this opportunity to make this thing. And I really don't know logistically how they did it. By all accounts, a lot of it was, when I say gonzo, I mean it literally. Like they were just filming on the streets in ways that clearly they didn't have permits for, or that it was almost like stunt, hidden camera stuff. That there's a whole thread of them trying to climb the CN Tower, this gigantic tower in Toronto, and they've said that when they walked in to like film at the security stations trying to go up, that was just them literally going and doing it with a hidden camera, and then like people's faces are blurred because it was the actual security guards there. Like the fact that they were able to release this film, that they got the licenses for the music that they use, like there's big Back to the Future homage stuff that would be prohibitively expensive for an indie film to license. The fact that they had the legal right to even get this thing on a screen anywhere. There's a joke halfway through the film where the guy looks dead down the camera and says, "If you're seeing this at the movies, it is a fucking miracle." Like they knew that this was an insurmountable task, and they somehow managed to do it.
I think I remember hearing this correctly, that they didn't even really have the storyline completely mapped out. They were kind of working it out as they went along. Yeah.
They filmed out, so there was a real like police cordon around, I think, Drake's house or something crazy. Like there was an actual news event, and at one point they just ran out there with a camera and they got some footage of this guy sneaking out of this this house, and then they put that into the movie later. Like just years worth of filming shit and then editing it and then shaping it into this kind of remarkable story about like two friends, which is really like touching and nostalgic and reflective of who they were when they started making this show 20 years ago. Like they've gone on to have careers. One of them's quite a successful composer now.
He composed the music for this.
Yeah. But like,
and the music's really good too.
Yeah. But even just like comedically, some of the swings they take, we talk about time travel movies, but the jokes they have about the era that they go back to are so fucking funny.
That was one of my favorite things. So they go back to 2008, and it's actually a very interesting concept. Just as a millennial, really, just to you think, I don't know about you, but I think of 2008 as kind of, not that long ago still, but we're talking 20 years now. So, it's the kind of the same as, in 2008, going back to 1988. And, I think like the 80s have their own kind of distinctive aesthetic, from movies and stuff.
In your head.
Don't necessarily think of the noughties as that. There's the bookend for the noughties. But I mean the iPod stuff. I mean the references. It was just really fascinating to
every poster, every celebrity mentioned. The fucking hangover joke is the hardest I've laughed at anything in such a long time. Using that as the fucking mechanism to confirm they're back in time. Just brilliant. So funny.
Very funny movie. Very fun, very bizarre. Loved it. Yeah. Loved it. Good rec.
Really good. If you have any way to see it, please go see it. It is not something you need a previous knowledge of the show to understand. It is remarkable from like a production perspective. It is amazing that it exists. And it's just really funny. It's just like it's a good time. You can enjoy
Extremely
yourself.
Fun. I love those movies. The you probably know the word for it, but like the Borat thing where they go into real life, and I love those movies. I really do.
Yeah, so good. Anyway, that was my one rec.
Right. So my first rec is, and I specifically think that you should go after this, Nick. It's a podcast, 2-part series, Revisionist History, hosted by Malcolm Gladwell. This podcast, this 2-part podcast series follows this incredible story about Zootopia, right? The movie, the one, it was just nominated, Zootopia 2, just nominated for an Oscar, but it is an incredible story, Nick. It follows the screenwriter that pitched, I don't want to give too much away here, but it follows the screenwriter that pitched to Disney this idea for a movie called Zootopia, where it follows all these kind of animals in the wild, and they create this utopia just for animals. This guy pitched it to Disney, they passed, and then decades later he sees on a billboard an advertisement for Zootopia, and he goes and watches the movie, and it's like his idea, and so he sues them, and then he loses. Right, he loses this case, and then Zootopia 2 comes out. By the way, the legal case goes on for years, like 7 years. He ends up losing. Zootopia 2 comes out, and without giving too much away, it seems like the guy who went to sue Disney because they took his idea has been written explicitly into the movie as one of the characters.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
And I'm going to stop there, but where it goes, where it ends, is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I think the episodes are about 40 minutes each. Seriously listen to. My jaw was on the floor. It was incredible. The screenwriting, copyright legalities, and just honestly, there's quite a few twists in this series that this was the best, most engrossing listen I've had in a while.
That does prompt me to say that If Books Could Kill episode on Malcolm Gladwell's Blink was also a very good listen. So you probably enjoy that.
Will I?
You might enjoy hate listening. Do we have anything else on our list?
Hold on. Wait, am I done?
I don't know. That's what I just asked you.
Oh yeah, no, I do. I've got two more. One is the last one, Laughing, season 2.
Oh yeah,
a UK show.
I'm heavy on that. Yeah.
The cast. I think I got halfway through the last episode, but last season, but hosted by Jimmy Carr. It's on Amazon Prime. And yeah, I mean, we're almost finished, but it's just like a really fun watch. I love this cast. I love Ramesh. Diane Morgan somehow is on this. Sam, what's his Campbell, who I love. Yeah. Bob Mortimer. Yeah. It's just a really fun little watch. It's really good.
I hate the trapping around it. I hate the title sequence. I hate Jimmy Carr's sort of like weird little posing. The way he hosts this show is really off-putting. The actual content of just like Big Brother, but they're sitting there in the room and we just get to hear the little conversations they have to try and make each other laugh is pure gold. I mean, the premise of the show is a slam dunk. Comedians just trying to make each other laugh but can't laugh.
There's as an audience viewer, there's nothing funnier than watching people trying not to laugh.
Yeah.
Desperately. I mean, it's infectious.
Alan Carr,
Alan Carr is incredible. And I've just got a kind of half... Oh, yeah, sorry, you go.
The only thing I was going to say about that was, do you find yourself trying to not... Like, do you treat it like a challenge? Like, do you watch it trying not to laugh to see if you could not laugh in the face of it? Or are you free? Like, what you're happy to, guffaw as you watch?
Yeah, I'm happy to guffaw.
Yeah, because I actively try. Like I sit there and I'm like, can I survive this? It's very hard, but there's something about like putting yourself in that situation that I enjoy.
I think I do pretty well, to be honest.
I don't know.
All right, moving on.
There's lots of episodes where none of us have laughed, so that's possibly true.
Yeah, I'm faking it usually. Last one is kind of DTF St. Louis, which is not usually going to be my vibe, but Jason Bateman, David Harbour, and holy mother of God, Linda Cardellini, who has aged like a goddess. Oh my!
Why is that the worst sentence of this whole fucking pod? Why did you say that? That's so gross.
I've had a crush on her since Freaks and Geeks, and she is even hotter, dude. But it's a kind of I think it's
just
not.
Stop.
Linda.
What a name as well. I mean, it's just not. It's okay. Continue.
Her
first name's got the Lynn, but there's also a Lynn and Cardellini. It's like choosing a key syllable of the surname to name in the first name. That's just anyway. Continue.
It's just a fun show. It's not really a show that I would ordinarily watch, but it is a mini series, which means I know that I don't have to stick around for season 2, which is why I'm in it in the first place. So Laura and I have been watching it, really enjoying it. David Harbour's quite good. I think it's an interesting timing for him to release a show, given that his PR image is kind of
He
shut to
doesn't have any
pieces.
say over that. He would have been working on this a year ago.
Sure,
yeah.
but I mean, like, to release
It's really not a show that I thought you were going to mention here. Like, that's a very that is not a universally beloved show. In fact, I would say more people in the TV community have disliked DTF St. Louis than have liked it. It's actually fairly not controversial, but it's extremely niche. And Stephen Conrad, the creator, makes very weird auteur style shows where his tone is not like anything else, and that puts a lot of people off. So I genuinely did not expect you to say that you were watching that, but good on you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like my favorite show of all time, but yeah, the tone is a bit off, but yeah, I enjoy it.
Man,
We got myths. This is a long app, huh?
this is such a long app. Do we do myths? I got one quick myth.
I got one quick myth too.
Okay, we'll end on a quick myth. Play the jingle. You know what? Cut the jingle there. We don't have time. We don't have time for the whole jingle. We're half jingle. We're busy. Okay, here's my myth, Michael. I'm just going to act it out. Okay? This is an audio podcast, but I'm going to act it out for start. And this can be clip content if we want it. Okay? Here's my myth. It's this. You're in the car, right? And
Good
then
acting.
watch this. I'm turning the corner.
Hello.
What I'm describing for the listener at home is a palm-based steering wheel turn motion. These fingers, they're floating off in the space above the steering wheel. You've gone, straight to 12 o'clock. You've got your palm straight out there, extended your wrist straight, and the way you're turning this wheel is like you're fucking sliding some sort of ancient Mayan ruined door open.
Yeah, like a sun,
the sun god is about to be
sundial.
Yes, and you're rotating this, like you're fucking cleaning a window. What are we doing? How did we end up here? This is a crazy choice. The steering wheel has bits where you can put your fingers around it and hold on. You don't have to palm it. What have you achieved here? Is it just so you don't have to keep moving your hands? Like, it seems so unsafe. You don't have the control that you need for a maneuver like this.
It's arguably less safe, but I tell you what you achieve. You look effortlessly cool, and I'm not with you on this one. I think it looks cool as shit, and I think it's akin to the putting the hand on the headrest,
the hand behind the passenger
to reverse.
seat.
There's nothing hotter. And I think that's when it comes to driving, that's number two, and I'm a big fan,
So
and I do it.
do a number two when you're in the car.
Well, I do. I do.
Our last driving myth was the pointlessness of backing into a park, right?
Yep.
I got a lot of pushback from some people here, which I will refuse to voice because it was not supplied through the appropriate methodology of emailing or contacting us officially. You can't come to me in my off time and tell me the problems you have. If you need it stated, fucking submit it to the pod.
Put it in writing.
Put it in writing.
Who knew the reverse parking community was so vocal?
Vicious. I had arguments about the fucking... Some were two-wheel drives, and you can only move the front wheels, so you need to have the back wheels. Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Shut up.
Shut up. No one cares.
Fuck off. My myth is restaurants, and it's kind of specifically fast food restaurants or fast food adjacent restaurants like a Guzman and Gomez, who identify as clubs, and they play really loud, energetic music completely unnecessarily. No one wants it. Stop it. Play some jazz.
Yeah, I agree with that. I hate a noisy restaurant. I had for years and years. I actually had an article here in my deep thought notes about the effects of noise on a restaurant and the kind of levels that were damaging in terms of
well, let's get into it. We've got time,
stuff. But I don't have it here anymore because I never got to it. But
it evaporated.
I hate being in a restaurant where you're screaming over some shitty music. It just totally ruins the vibe.
Now, conversely, converse myth, mirror myth, mirror myth.
Mirror myth.
I do hate when you're in a restaurant. For example, we went to just kind of a dumpling restaurant before a movie last night, and they play no music at all. I can't stand for that. If you are,
You need a middle ground.
you need a middle ground, and I think especially if if you go to an Indian restaurant, you go to a Chinese restaurant, especially something that's ethnic. I love nothing more in an Indian restaurant just to hear a kind of a soft sitar in the background, setting the scene. I want that. I don't want you to play. I don't want to play top 40. I don't want to hear Ed Sheeran. I want to hear.
I want to feel like I've been transported to the Orient.
Exactly. Can't say that anymore, I don't think. Can you?
No, probably not.
Well,
Sometimes when you go to like a Korean barbecue restaurant and they're playing K-pop, that's boppy, but that's also culturally appropriate. Would you tell them not to?
no. I like a K-pop. I mean, I don't. I obviously hate K-pop, but I like it setting the scene. I want the experience of it. I mean, usually at Korean barbecue, there's quite a lot of young people there having a good time drinking soju and talking about reverse parallel parking. I assume in Korean.
We're talking about the latest episode of Deep Fort.
You'd think so. I got some really good feedback on that last episode, by the way.
The one that was fucking a nightmare to edit because of the internet connection.
Don't have any memory of that. No, yes, that one. No, Julia said to me at the wedding. Good. Julia said to me at the wedding, she was like, I just listened to the last episode, and I was like, really? Because I couldn't. I just thought it was going to be a shit show. I didn't even bother. But she said, I'm just realizing this is not really feedback for the show and more just for me. She said, Michael, I was just thinking you are so funny. You had so many funny. I'm not joking here. So many like you say such funny things sometimes, and I was like, I almost cried. I was like, this is the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
See, this is why Trump is president, because he gets this kind of adulation.
I get it. I'm this close to being a megalomaniac, I'm telling you.